Tokyo is a contradiction that defies logic. A city built too fast, too bright, too crowded. A place that feels more machine than human. By every rule of history, this metropolis should have collapsed under its own weight. And yet, it didn't. Because hidden between skyscrapers are temples older than empires. Tokyo is not the future. It is the collision of every century at once. And somehow, against all odds, it is still alive.
After 3 days of being here in Tokyo, I am more confused than ever. Part of me really liked it, and another part just craves some silence and peace.
Let me try to explain this. Tokyo is probably the most vibrant city I've ever been to. I wanted to explore it all, but quickly realized there is so much I will never be able to fully explore the city. Google the must-see places of Tokyo and there will pop up some mind-blowing places, but the amount of places to see is not overwhelming. It's all the neon lights, not knowing where to look first, all the people and all these new things randomly calling your attention. Tokyo is not about exploring sights, it's about exploring the details. Like millions of vending machines, just to name one example.
Japan breaks the record in vending machines. There are more than 4 million vending machines only here in Tokyo, and that makes about one vending machine per 30 people. That's insane. You can find them with all kinds of things. These here are with drinks, water, juices, whatever, but literally you can find probably almost anything in a vending machine. It's kind of crazy. It worked. And nice and cold water. There is also cafe, there are soups you can buy, and they are hot. Like if you get them out of the vending machines, you will get them boiling hot. So always be careful. Tokyo is one of the biggest cities in the world and it breaks many records. Not only with vending machines, but also with the size of the city and the people living here. And with this world-famous crossing. This is one of the busiest intersections in the world and there are up to 2,000 to 3,000 people crossing it at the same time. It feels a bit overwhelming and I'm glad I am in Japan and not in Europe because here people are respectful and more or less organized, or way more organized than in Europe, so they won't just run you over. It is interesting to cross this intersection, but it is not only the Shibuya Crossing here that made headlines all over the world, it is also Japan's metro system. So let's go underground now. This here is Shinjuku Station and it is one of the most busiest stations here in Tokyo. It is also famous because there were the pushers that pushed the people in the trains, but those are only there during peak time, so you won't see them all day long. But when it gets super busy, they actually still push the people inside of the train so that the trains can leave punctual. And the cool thing is you can use the metro system by using a Suica card. It's an IC card that you can just tap here on the machines and then you can easily enter and exit, and you will automatically pay, in my case, with Apple Pay. It's super easy to do and quite futuristic because I don't know about you, but I feel like metro systems are always the most confusing thing about traveling. I also have a little guide that includes a Google Maps with all the places I'm visiting here in Japan. It also includes all of the most important information that you need to successfully travel through Japan. So check it out in the link in the description below if you're interested. Japan is an extremely efficient country. Japanese people love everything that makes life easier, faster, and more efficient in general. And you definitely notice when walking around Tokyo. It almost feels like people are trying to avoid human contact. And then you can also see all of these flashing lights here in Tokyo. There are so many billboards, so many advertisements, it is hard to know where to look first. And trust me when I say that all these harsh neon lights can definitely feel a little bit overwhelming sometimes. But if you think this is already overwhelming, let me show you something that is even more crazy. There are various places like this one here, multi-story arcades where you can play games like video games, all kinds of games. It's kind of crazy. A lot of light, a lot of movements, a lot of noise. I'm going to play for my nephew. It's definitely fake. Seriously, this thing doesn't have any force, any strength. So it's just meant to make you lose money, that's for sure. But anyway, it's a fun thing to try at least once. I tried 200 yen for one try. So not too expensive. There are a lot of these capsules everywhere. You can find them also on train stations, and there are entire stores dedicated to them, as you can see. It is a bit fun to see and also a bit strange. Apparently it is quite popular amongst Japanese and of course also tourists for souvenirs, but even adult Japanese buy these things. Apparently it's kind of a nostalgic feeling because it reminds them of their childhood, and also the cost of them is pretty low. You stick in coins here, it says 500 yen, 500 or 100, I'm not sure. And then you can just turn around this thing and then you will get whatever. So if you don't get exactly what you wanted, the cost is quite low. And apparently that's why it is so popular amongst Japanese adults, even today. Sometimes there are also entire collections that are quite popular and people try to, well, complete their collection of some certain capsule collection or whatever. It's kind of interesting to see. It's time to talk about a very strange but important topic, and that are the Japanese toilets. And to make this even more fancy, we are visiting a public toilet now. And this one here is supposed to be a super fancy one. There's actually a project here in Tokyo that is called Tokyo Toilet, and it was introduced to build very unique public toilets. There are various here in the city. They all have a different shape and purpose. And this one here is right now apparently not functioning super well, but it used to be see-through. So you were able to see through the glass, but once you close the door, obviously the glass becomes like it is right now, so nobody can see what you are doing in there. But anyway, let's get into the toilet, because the Japanese toilets here, they are like so much fun actually to use. It's weird to say, but trust me, you gotta experience that. First of all, it's super clean. You know, we usually try to avoid public toilets. They are smelling bad and not the nicest. But honestly, the Japanese toilets here, the public ones, are super clean and like you can definitely use them. But the coolest part is actually inside. So this here is the famous Japanese toilet. And what you can see here is actually something so cool. As you see, we have several buttons here. And that is to, well, dry your butt. It is to clean the front, to clean your butt. There will be water coming out of here. I'm not going to show you that right now because if no one's sitting there, obviously the water will come up. So, but then there's like the flush here, and in some of them you can even turn on music. You can move the position of the water, you can change the pressure. If you need more pressure, you can do so. I have no idea what means one clean. I don't know, maybe it's cleaning the seat or whatever. The seats are also heated quite often, and some of them even come with music. I know it's a super strange thing to say, but just trust me when I say that you have to experience these toilets yourself to really understand how they work and how genius this actually is. I once met a Japanese girl in Myanmar, and I thought it was super funny what she replied when I asked her what she missed most about her country. Because back then she answered, the thing that she misses most are the Japanese toilets. And I was like, that is such a strange thing to say, but now I finally understand what she means. It's time to eat. We are in a restaurant that is pretty futuristic, I would say, because here your food will be delivered by a robot. And there are more robot restaurants here and even a robot hotel. But this one here is called Gusto, and it is more or less affordable. So we chose that one. And the cool thing about it is that you can order here on an iPad. You can turn the language into English and then start your order for how many people, and you can see, like you can open the menu and you will see images. It's super helpful if you do not know the Japanese dishes yet, and especially if you don't speak the language, of course. You don't have to interact with anybody. It can have advantages, and we'll see what we can find here. Not the best Japanese food that I've had here so far, but a fun experience anyway, and for 2,400 yen, it is also quite affordable. Trains here in Japan are 100% reliable. They aren't late. There are very few exceptions in the year where the trains run late. So usually you can 100% rely on them and you will arrive exactly on the time that was planned.
Trust me when I say that at some point of your Tokyo trip, you will crave silence. And you can get it either here in the metro.
There's one rule here in the metro system of Tokyo, and that is be respectful and never interrupt the silence.
Or in one of the temples and gardens of Tokyo.
We are at Senso-Ji temple, and somehow I expected a peaceful place, but this seems to be the most crowded place of Tokyo, at least from what I have seen so far. However, it is worth a visit, not only because it is beautiful and there's a little market area in front of it that is also very nice to visit, but also because this temple is the oldest standing temple of Tokyo. It was founded in 645 AD. However, if you are craving a peaceful and calm place, this might be not the right place for you to come to, but there are several other parks and temples here in Tokyo that you can visit.
Stepping away from the neon, you'll find incense drifting through temple gates older than empires. You'll hear quiet rhythm of sandals and stone, see shadows of samurai in allies where history refused to die. Tokyo is not just the future, it is memory breathing.
This here is Yanaka. It is an area that is way more peaceful than anything else we have seen of Tokyo. And it is actually strange because we really aren't far away from the futuristic feeling neon-lit Tokyo. However, this area here is special because it survived the World War II bombings. Tokyo got heavily destroyed during that time, and Yanaka remained its character. And you can still see lots of buildings here from the Edo period. However, they are becoming less and less. And that is because Tokyo is an area where a lot of earthquakes happen frequently. It is really nothing rare here. And the way they build today is way stronger than it used to be. Buildings nowadays, of course, have to withstand earthquakes of all kinds. And these old buildings are more and more insecure. So whenever they can, they rebuild them and build modern structures here. However, it is still a beautiful area and I think absolutely worth a visit. It is a place where the future meets the past. This part here is hundreds of years old. Yanaka was first formed as a temple town during the Edo period. But that was before its modernization and it remains its old character. But what happened then? How got Japan, especially Tokyo, modernized? Well, the answer is the United States got involved. In 1853, Americans arrived here in Japan and they exposed Japan to international powers. They forced the country to open their ports for international trade, and people started to realize how weak the country was or how far behind it was compared to the United States at that time. So Japanese leaders saw the modernization of the country as their only option to escape to be colonized. And that is when the modernization of Japan and Tokyo started.
In Tokyo, the past and the future do not fight, they fuse. Here, a monk can bow beneath steel towers. A 1,000-year-old shrine can host prayers from anime fans. This is a city that shouldn't exist, not as future, not as past, but it does, as both.
What I really love about Tokyo is that there are a lot of parks, just like this one here. We are super close to Shinjuku. This is where we've seen all the neon lights before in the arcades. And it's such a peaceful and beautiful place here. There are lots of these kind of parks. There are some temples here. Like, there is a lot of history, a lot of green space, despite being such a huge city. it's not too hard to escape the big city vibe and all the noise and lights and impressions you get from the city. I'm really enjoying this peaceful walk here through this park right now.
The paradox of Tokyo is its power. Its survival doesn't come from choosing between past or future, but from carrying both, even when they should not coexist.
After 3 days of being here in Tokyo, I am more confused than ever. Part of me really liked it, and another part just craves some silence and peace. However, Tokyo is a city that will definitely amaze you. Those that are looking for history and beautiful temples are going to find it here. Those that are looking for innovations will find it here as well. So Tokyo is definitely a city you have to experience, and I'm sure in some way you will definitely enjoy it a lot.
I came here searching for the future. What I found was a city stitched together with memory. Tokyo is a paradox, too fast, too vast, too alive to make sense. Tokyo is not the future, Tokyo is not the past. It is both at once, and in that collision, it survives.